Hey, Juventini, we're back. It's another Juventus match day, and today it's the Derby Della Molle. Juventus and Torino set to square off today in what's going to be a very, very tough match for Juve. Torino's a bit better than what we're used to, but Anthony will probably tell you otherwise today. But yeah, excited to get Eric back into the mix too. It's been a while. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I feel a little bit more like a special guest than I do an AJC member right now.
Oh no, man! You're a member. You're a member. Everybody plays their part, and we're happy to have you here. We even got Luca up bright and early, so that's how pumped he is to have you back.
He didn't go to bed. That's why he's in there.
Yeah, it's like Christmas morning for Luca. I got you, man.
Yeah, there we go. So coming off a pretty stellar victory against Chelsea when a lot of Juventini were feeling kind of down, especially after some big key guys missing the match. But how are we feeling now? Maybe we'll give our brief little summaries off that match before we look right into this Torino derby. So, Eric, we didn't really get a whole lot of your thoughts after that match. So, how are you feeling after that one?
You know what? I think I kept it pretty private with you guys. I was pretty ecstatic. It was reminiscent of our 16-17 season where just there was a lot of joy in it. Everything we were structurally sound, we were organized, we were playing well, and we had Max at the helm. So you see his tactics, you see his imprint on the squad already. A lot to look forward to as long as they can continue on this path and as long as we can stay healthy. And I think with the players at his disposal, it kind of shows you his versatility and his ability to adapt to different teams. So I was more than happy with that result.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and very, very well put. Anthony.
Well, we know how I feel.
Still
you know how
reeling?
I feel. Now,
Don't talk about the predictions, man.
I'm not saying that. I didn't say anything about the predictions you brought up, so I won't bring it up. I'll just say everybody knows how I feel. Now, if there was one person who was as confident as I was, it was this guy right here. So Eric, Mad Max is his man. One guy who could back me up was Eric. So we were both very happy with it. But that's in the past. We got a big game today, and 3 points. 3 points are coming in, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, and this is going to be, it could be that banana peel game, but we're going to hopefully, I don't think it's going to be, but it could easily be that match, a little Chelsea hangover or whatnot, but we're going to get into it. History of this fixture. So this is obviously the longest running rivalry in Serie A and whatnot. And I'm going to kick it off with a little bit of this trivia. And you've got enough help here online to assist here, but
I'm going to turn the comments off.
No when cheating. Was the first Derby della Molla played? What year?
I feel like it's got to be like 1912, man.
I'm going to say 1904.
Very, very close. Very, very close. Right in between you guys, 1907. 1907, the first Derby della Molla played.
So anybody who hasn't read the Calcio book by John Foote, Al, you recommended it to me. Great book, History of Calcio. I didn't reread it for this podcast. I probably should have, but it's a good read. If anyone wants to get the history of the league, it's got a lot of neat info in it.
You betcha. Oh, and look at what a great sight this is. Seeing Anto in the mix here.
Here we go.
With everybody. Much love, brother. Great seeing you out there. All right. So we got the beginning, 1907 in the Derby della Molla, okay? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the biggest margin of victory belongs to Torino out of this derby with an 8-0 scoreline.
Oh, I would have said 7. Why is that the question? I would have said 7.
What is Juve's biggest margin of victory in the Derby della Molla?
I want to say +6.
Yeah, I'll say 7. I'll stick with it. I'll say 7-0. So I'll say 7.
Eric's got that one. 6-0. 6-0 was our biggest margin.
When was that? Do you know? Was it like the 60s?
Yeah, it's way before that.
Okay.
Way before that. Now, how many times has Torino finished ahead of Juve in the table? Because we know that Juve's dominated this stat, but how many times has Torino finished higher than Juve in the table?
Well, that Gran Torino team in the, when was that? The 50s. They were motoring everybody ahead of Juventus. I'll say 12.
So I'm going to say 7.
16. 16 times Torino. And yeah, you're right, Anthony. Talk about the Grande Torino on that side. They actually equaled Juve's feat at that time, which was 5 straight titles, whatnot. And Torino was able to equalize that. How many goals and who is the leader in goal scorers for this fixture?
I knew this one was coming.
And what's going back, and we've got a massive goal scorer back way back when, before, of course, ADP surpassed. So there's a big hint.
The only person who's going to know this is Antonio, and he's in the comments, but I turned the comments off for this. Okay. The goal scorer for Juventus, obviously.
Yeah. He's a Juve player that owns this. And like I said, Del Piero ended up surpassing him in terms of the team lead. There's a massive clue.
Oh man. Yeah, Eric, I'm drawing a blank, man. I don't have
I was, my plan was to just ride his coattail through this. So he's really letting me down.
This jersey I'm wearing has a nice little saying on the inside.
Oh, it's
Bonaparti?
Yeah.
Bonaparti, 14 goals.
I would have not even come close to that. So thank God I
he's the leader in the Derby Della Molle. Last question. On December 2012, 2 Juve youth products scored for Juventus in the Derby Della Molle. Who were they?
Marchisio.
It's one.
Youth products. Youth products.
2012.
Yeah. I heard you. Just stop putting so much pressure on me.
He ended up taking off in what was considered to be some prime years, and he went somewhere that nobody really expected.
Well, that's obviously
Storaro. Balistreri throwing out.
I got it. You know what?
Anto showing some love.
Yeah.
I got the right.
The hand. Luca with the hand.
Is it Jovinko? Is it Jovinko?
It's Jovinko.
Is it?
Yeah. Great call. Boys, that's fun. You guys did pretty well. You guys did very, very well.
I'm sweating.
Let me down, but it's okay. Whatever.
So we're getting into a build-up for this match, and we saw Allegri's press conference, and he was talking about a few things. We're going to get to one topic that kind of went a little off cue there when he was talking about Dybala and Chiesa up top. Obviously, Dybala's not going to be available till after the international break, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I put a poll question out, and I was actually surprised at the results because the question was Dybala and Chiesa up top. How do you guys feel about that? Yes or no? And then comment why. And I was surprised. I was in the minority because I thought I'd be in the majority, because 70% said yes to go with that up front in a 2-man front. And I personally don't think it would work all that well. And Max talked about and said we did it against Empoli, but of course, different games and different characteristics. Probably the best way to put it. There might be opportunities to do it, but I think both of them would thrive off a true target man up there with them. And I was surprised that 70% said yes. So I want to get your guys' thoughts before we really dive into this match on just that topic in general. And we'll kick it off with Eric.
Well, I don't feel like it's a good idea to use the match that we got embarrassed by in order to leverage those two. But I do agree different matches will determine different players, different characteristics, different personnel. I don't have a problem with that. I actually think Chiesa would be a fantastic person as a lone striker and a much more of a counter-esque. attacking style. He's got the pace. I think he's got the decisiveness. The problem for me is that when you use Chiesa and Dybala as a front man, Dybala is just going to naturally want to free roam. He's going to want to play a little bit deeper. He's going to want to get on the ball to really impact the game, which, then it leaves your other center forward, your other striker kind of on an island. So my thing is, if you use those two up front, you got to have someone to play in behind them so that when Dybala goes back to retrieve the ball, someone can move forward, in my personal opinion. So I don't want to make this about me, but I actually put a poll up about currently as it stands. How do people feel about Bernardeschi, Chiesa, and Dybala as a front three or front two with the supporting striker, mainly because of the fluidity of the three? So I like Dybala. I think Dybala's best years came as a supporting striker in a 4-2-3-1, which was probably our 16-17 season. But he did have Higuain to play off of. So can you put Morata in a role where he can kind of be the hold-up play, allow Dybala to move forward and back? I don't think so. So it's really kind of what type of player can you put in the 10 role to allow Dybala to play off of him and constantly switch back and forth? That's the way that I see it. I don't know if I have a base formation that I step on the pitch with where Chiesa and Dybala are your front two players. Maybe Chiesa Keane with Dybala in support, maybe Chiesa Bernardeschi with Dybala in support, and then all three of them can really kind of play off of one another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of options, which is actually a great thing for a guy like Max, who can make the calls when it's required, obviously proving that on Wednesday, right? So this is all good for us. Anthony, your thoughts?
All great points by Eric. The one thing I would just add to that is, I'll start with Bernardeschi first. I think Bernardeschi has shown that when he's he plays better. He wants to be more of a creative player. So when he plays in the hole, he seems to be, he's a different player. And
he's much more confident, at least.
I think that's what it is, right? He feels more comfortable, more confident, whatever you want to put on it. When he's out on the wing, he just, we haven't seen that player because he'll drift inside, and he's been known to do turnovers, almost like he's doing too much, trying to get into the game when he's out there. So just one little thing on Bernardeschi. But in terms of Dybala and Chiesa, we talked about Chiesa's stats on the Chelsea post game. Statistically, he's a better winger than he is a striker. But he's shown that, he can play up top. Some people making good comments here that it's better if they play with a true number 9, which Dybala and Chiesa are not. And it all comes down to the opponent and the setup that Max wants to go to. I really don't like that duo up front, especially if they're playing with if the opponent's playing with a back four with two center backs. I don't know how much Chiesa would get through that. He'd be better apt to playing against a back three. A lot more one-on-ones with him with the center back. So I wouldn't go for it. But again, it depends on the opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all great calls as well. And Omar coming in.
Look at this guy.
Guys. Eric.
There you go.
I'm so excited.
We're all pumped. Eric's here. It's awesome. And we even got Antonio in the mixer, Omar.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all
Our
fantastic. So
the family's back together.
A big piece of news that we ended up getting was that Artur and Caio Jorge are actually on the bench for this one, which is fantastic. Especially this is the last one before international break, so we know coming off of it, we'll be able to get a few more pieces for Max as well. Obviously, Caio Jorge will be sparingly used, but again, Morata more serious than anticipated, so he'll be out a little bit longer. So we might see more of him than normally expected. But Artur is a big one because this could really change things in the middle, depending on how you see it, and could free up Locatelli even more. I truly believe it will. Antonio comes in with a great question. Do you think Max will get the best Artur? So, yeah, what do we see happening with Artur coming back, and how much impact do you see this happening for Allegri's Juventus? And let's kick it off with Anthony on this one.
I first prediction of the day, Eric, don't make that face. First prediction of the day is Kyle, Jorge, and Arthur both see the pitch today. I think they both come on for whatever sort of appearance, but I think they both hit the pitch today. We've talked about this a lot. We're, at least me and Al, are both very excited to see Arthur hit the field. I'll let these two gentlemen comment, but he needs to get some playing time under his belt. I think it's going to happen today. Excited to see how him and Locatelli work together. Whether it works or not, we all think it's going to work. Who knows? But he is, I think, the piece that's been missing to, elevate us to that next step.
Yeah, there you go, Eric.
So I think the thing with Artur is, I think what he's best at is something that he doesn't like to do. I think if you ask Artur where he wants to play, what does he want to do? He wants to be able to create and push the ball forward like he did at Barcelona. Unfortunately, I think he's better at just possessing the ball and just being on the ball. So it's tough because I think he's going to have to kind of come to grips with what he's truly best at, and it happens to be something I don't think he wants to do. But I think that's where Max is going to come in, groom him for that, because in my preferred lineup, he is our holder. Not because I think he's better at it than Locatelli. I think Locatelli is he's a fantastic number 6, but I think where we lack is having some offensive attacking moving forward. And you put Locatelli as a mezzala, it's really going to create problems for defenses. And that's just where I would prefer to see Locatelli. So I do think Max will get the most out of Artur. It's going to be a matter of whether or not he can, kind of find, come to peace with what his role is going to be.
Yeah, there you go. Very, very well said. Omar, your thoughts on Artur and an impact he can make?
Well, I think we know what Artur can do. We all seen his technical ability. He's good on the ball. He's good on short passing. What Allegri needs to teach him how to do is how to look up and know how to direct the play, where to move the ball to, even if he's playing sort of a Jorginho role of short passes to the left, to the right, but making the right decision of where the attack is going to go. And if it's stuck, then going back to him and giving him the option to do that again. And even more important, this game will use some rotations, and the only player I feel right now there is no rotation for him is Locatelli. And the only player who can perform his role is probably Artur. We have seen the other guys play. We know they can do that role as good. But if Locatelli moves to a mezzala, then there are a lot of more options, and he'll need to get his rest too. Fortunately, there are a lot of midfielders for the Azzurri, so we won't have to play all 2 or 3 games. I don't know how many they have. But there are a lot of ups to Artur coming back, and these are the main ones, in my opinion.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys in terms of possession. I see Artur taking over that role to free up Locatelli. However, Georg makes a great comment as far as depending on the game in certain situations, because against Chelsea, Bentancur was actually suited more. Locatelli slotting into that deep line playmaker role. Regis, Locatelli's defensive rate is so underrated. Like, it just flies under the radar how strong he is in the defensive phase. He did a fantastic job. So even if he's not heavily involved in offensively or whatnot, he's still always having a big contribution. And I think in terms of what Georg is saying, if the match is going to be one where we're expecting to maybe surrender as much possession as we did kind of against Chelsea, maybe Locatelli in that deep line role with some physical guys in there, because Artur, that's the one question mark with him, is the defensive work rate, right, in that side of the game. So that might be the one. Is just we'll see how Allegri plans on using them, and we'll see kind of which opponents dictates it. But Allegri's already come out and said, just in the few sessions of training, that Artur already raises the quality of the team just being out there, right? So those are big words from a guy like Max. So I'm thinking he's seeing him having a pretty big impact, and he's going to be used probably even against some opponents that we may feel a guy like Bentancur suited more. But for me, he helps us escape the press so much. And it could be the difference of getting a guy like Bonucci some much deserved rest at times and keeping him fresh, because he chews up so many minutes. And we know that his ball possession and his ball playing abilities are what's making it key for Juventus. But having Artur there could relieve that issue for us with when you have a partnership like De Ligt and Chiellini at the back, right? Because that would be the one area that they probably suffer in without having Bonucci back there, right? But I think Artur is going to have a pretty big impact on this team. We talked about, Artur, Kyle Giorgio on the bench, big stuff. Allegri in his presser talking about Juric doing a great job with Torino, conveying concepts to his team that represent the Toro spirit. He says Torino don't give away much, and we will have to be very, very patient. So Torino's only allowed 6 goals in their 6 matches. They got a couple of clean sheets in there. Juric, we know, with Verona last season, drew Juventus 1-1 in both matches, and they were frustrating matches for Juventus. This one, Max said, it's going to be harder than Wednesday's match against Chelsea, and some people took that the wrong way. It wasn't meant to be intended like that. Most of us knew what Allegri meant, and that's essentially that Torino and sides like this is a final for them playing Juventus. They put everything into it. They train to the maximum, and that's exactly what he said about Torino, which is why it's going to be hard. We also talked about it earlier. We can't make this a banana peel game. We can't make it a trap game. Juventus has to approach it in the exact same manner they approached Wednesday, and the part that made me the most pumped about that match was it was solid from start to finish, all 90 minutes and the +5 at the end. And that's what we need to see today. But let's get your guys' thoughts going into this one. Obviously, Torino is deployed in like a 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, 3-4-1-2, depending on really guys like Marco Piazza. And when he's out there and when he's not, it changes them up a bit. But he's out for today. Zaza's out. They've got quite a list, but I'll let you guys get into your thoughts coming into this one and how you think it's going to go, because we do have quite a few people that are saying, watch out for that trap game. So let's kick it off with Omar and your thoughts heading into this one.
Well, Torino is never an easy match. It's always exciting. Sometimes we thrash them. Sometimes they give us a hard time right until the end of the match. They do miss a lot of players, according to what Ant sent us. Zaza, Piazza, Belotti, Dennis Pratt, and Gigi. Those are some major absences for Torino, but they were missing Belotti for most of the games, and they still managed to do pretty well. Juric is a stubborn coach who doesn't care about anyone, and whoever he plays against doesn't matter. And we always had a rough time against him last season. Even the season before, if you remember, we lost 2-1 after we led 1-0. So Torino always has been a tough match. They always come with the right approach to these type of matches, like it's do or die for them. And we need to match that on the field with the same way we played against Chelsea. It's obviously a different type of game. We'll need to control more, create more. We need a target man up front. More than we needed him against Chelsea. And I'm super excited. Great hour, by the way, for a game.
There you go. Eric.
You know, when it comes to some of these derby matches or rival matches, you can kind of take X's and O's and throw them out the window. Yeah. These are very emotionally based matches. There's a lot more pride at stake here. So this is a match that I've always thought that it's going to get physical on the pitch. It's going to be very rigid. Now, with Juric at the helm, I don't know if that's going to change a little bit. He's going into this tactically, if you will, kind of in the similar formation that Chelsea did. So I think Chelsea's probably a really good match to warm up for this, even though one plays a defensive style, defensive counter, and then the other one's going to be an attacking style. I think that kind of helped prepare the team with Max and finding spots and knowing when to press, knowing when not to press. I'm with Omer. I know that these two had a conversation the other day about just the quality of Torino, and I'm with Omer. Juric is a very stubborn coach. He doesn't fear anybody. So I'm wondering if this is a match where he's going to go in guns blazing and cause us a lot of problems, or if he's going to just, if he's going to play a park the bus style break on the counter, and then we pay for it. Fortunately, no Piazza actually favors us because of his pace and his ability to kind of stretch the field. So I expect it to be a lot very physical, very rigid. It's not going to be a pretty game, and they just never are. It's an emotionally based game. So
there you go. Yeah, it's definitely emotionally based, and in rivalries, you're absolutely right. Sometimes the X and O's go right out the window, which is why you see a lot of rarities usually in this match. Like a delict goal, for instance, a unicorn like a Cristiano Ronaldo free kick goal for Juventus, things like that, right? Usually difference makers. How many late winners historically through this derby, because they're just fights, right? Anthony, break this one down in your thoughts.
Yeah, so I'm going to disagree with everything these two guys said, and I'm going to give you 4 reasons why Torino stinks. All right, here we go. The first one is that this team finished 1 spot above relegation last year. I don't care what kind of coach you bring in, the team is still garbage. So that's 1. 2, they're down their 3 main strikers. That's 3. That's 2. Who do they have? They have no one to replace them. You don't just find a team like Torino doesn't just find another striker on the bench. So that's 2. Let's go with number 3. Now, I'm going to skip number 3. I can't verify that stat, so I'll make up another stat. The teams that they've played this year are all garbage. So, they played, what do they have? They have a draw against Venezia. They have a win against Salernitana and Sassuolo, and they got dog walked by Atalanta and Fiorentina. So they're not a good team. 4, Juric, good coach. He's done good work with Verona. He had in 76 games, he had 23 wins, 24 draws, 29 losses. So, but against Juventus, he was 1-2-1. So sure, stubborn coach, but the Verona team he had was a better team. Torino, the group he has is worse. So I foresee this being a cakewalk today. I get the whole, it's, everyone raises their game. It's a derby match, but no, when the other team's dog shit, this game is going to be an easy one for Juventus today.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. His takes are about as quality as his counting from 1 to 4. So
I got 4 in there.
Yeah. You 1, 2, skip 3, 4, 2, 3, 4.
I went back to 3. 3.
Anthony just fired up. Why Torino stinks. Okay, listen. Okay, that's fine. I give him a little bit more credit. There's a big drastic change in that team with Juric there. I gotta give some credit there where it's due. In terms of the losses, the guys they're missing, that is big. That's going to be tough for them to overcome. We're probably going to see Delict and Chiellini. So good luck without those guys up top, because they would have definitely created more issues than the guys we're going to be facing. But that doesn't necessarily rule them out. Again, Juve coming off that big match, a lot of emotions, a lot of intensity. Again, can they keep it up and bring it into this one? We will see some rotation. And this was the thing. We saw a lot of variations of the possible lineup that Max could be deploying. The earliest one was a 4-2-3-1, which I actually really, really liked. Szczesny in goal, Danilo, Delict, Chiellini, Sandro, Bentancur, Locatelli as your pivots with Quadrado, Bernardeschi, Chiesa in behind Keane. I really, really liked that 4-2-3-1 on paper as far as everything. Balance from defensive to attacking. Really, really liked it. We got another one. changing it up a bit, showing us something more similar in terms of the 4-4-2, which was Szczesny, Danilo, Della, Chiellini, Sandro, Quadrado, Bentancur, Locatelli, Rabiot, with Keane and Chiesa up top. Also, don't mind this, but again, you've got more guys that probably are going to need some rest. So today, the latest, McKennie is favored over Bentancur, and Quadrado likely to get a rest. So it's shaping up. Szczesny, Danilo, De Ligt, Chiellini, Sandro seems to be the steady across all of them, okay, at the back. With Quadrado resting, it puts Bernardeschi, McKennie, Locatelli, and Rabiot across the middle, with Chiesa and Keane up top. So a very similar 4-4-2 type setup. Rabiot continues to get out there. What do you guys think about this latest one to come out in that 4-4-2? Bernardeschi out there on one side, Rabiot on the other, Chiesa and Keane up top. Let's kick it off with Anthony.
Is that the confirmed lineup or just the
No,
speculated
it's
one?
probable as of yet because it's still not confirmed. I'm keeping tabs
Okay.
on it, but usually doesn't get confirmed till much closer to game time.
Okay, I'd be surprised if Rabiot plays. I'd much rather see Quadrado out there. But just going back to my point, that's a very strong lineup considering the players that were down. All those lineups you mentioned there, solid lineups. I'll get these two guys to get more in depth, but you're putting that lineup up against this Torino team. That's why I'm supremely confident today. There's no holes in that lineup. We've used that lineup before. This isn't the first time we're going to see those players playing together. Maybe one player in there, but this is what Max does at the beginning of the season. He tries a bunch of different lineups. He gets players playing together. So when you come into a game like this, when you're down players, you have a lot of continuity between the team with whoever you're putting out there. And yeah, Juric isn't showing these as motivation of the team. That's a ridiculous comment. But anyways, Eric, go ahead.
I like obviously the first one, the first lineup with the 4-2-3-1, and I'll take the last one, which I think will shape up to be a lot more of a 4-3-3 than a 4-4-2 with Bernardeschi at the right wing, and even then he may be able to kind of run centrally and slot back into that 10 role. I think the problem is, or the perception is, that just because they're missing strikers means that they're going to be a bad team. Well, if you substitute the strikers for defenders and you just play and you just park the bus, it still doesn't make it an easier match for us. So if that's going to be the case, and if that's going to be, Juric's style, I would probably prefer the first lineup for that. Get us a little bit more numbers moving forward. I did know that Romeo had mentioned a construction of a back three while we were in the attacking phase. So I really think at this point, Max is going for 3 points, and he's going to be putting numbers forward. So if that's going to be the case, I don't think Rabiot sees the pitch. I just think he's being outplayed by Bernardeschi at the moment. And ironically, that's who's being substituted in. Even though that might be playing different positions. So give me number one, give me number three. But I do think that even though they're missing some players, they are going to be stubborn. They are going to play defensive, and it's still going to be a very tough match.
Yeah, absolutely. Omar?
I like the first lineup. It sounds good, looks good on paper. I don't think any lineup so far this season, any predicted lineup has been correct. Max always tried to, kept us guessing, and suddenly Bernardeschi is a false nine, and suddenly Pellegrini starts, and I have yet to see one that was correct before the game. In relation to what Eric said, they don't need strikers. That one corner or ridiculous free kick. We are bad on set pieces so far this season and have been for the past 2 seasons, and that was enough for some teams to win against us without creating too much. So no strikers is possibly good, but it doesn't mean we're going to win it. And the lineup, Rabiot should be out and Bernardeschi should be in. He proved that in the last game against Chelsea, and honestly, that's what we were hoping to see against Chelsea. So we might try it today, but Max always keeps us guessing. I'm assuming we'll see some sort of surprise today, like a Kulusevski, a rare start or anything like that.
Yeah. In terms of this match, with that particular lineup, the only things that are questionable or may cause difficulties is if you look at how Juric created issues for Juventus previously, basically forcing us to the flanks, and it left us looking for those individual moments to spark some type of offense. Whether you believe that was lack of a system, or even just the technical qualities and missing certain traits, it's an interesting one. So Rabiot, given needing a rest and factoring in how much he offers offensively, is probably public enemy number one to get taken out of that lineup, and expect somebody changed up in there. The X and O's, as far as how they set up, I'm not terribly concerned with, but Bernardeschi, for me, in this particular match, if he's going to play, needs to be centralized, as he was against Chelsea. If it's going to be this 4-4-2 and we see him out wide, that's a question mark for me, because I think he would be much better served centrally, especially when we, again, talk about what Juric did to create issues for Juventus previously.
Sorry, Al, could someone help me with the game that Bernardeschi was playing out left in front of Sandro? It was right after Rabiot did. He was playing out on left wing. He didn't play bad out there, but he was kind of like non-existent out and left. I think, was it not the Malmo game?
No, it wasn't Malmo.
Was it Sampdoria? Anyways, he's been out there. Like, he's not terrible out there, but he just kind of disappears for long stretches.
He doesn't deliver good crosses into the box. Like, he rarely has any assists. It's much more suited for the playing in the middle than the left. Opposite to Cuadrado, if you'd like.
And Eric's so excited about all this Bernardeschi talk. I can tell that those eyes right there. He's very excited.
No, man, I don't want to see him go out there and embarrass himself. Which, given the last,
he has it though. He has it. He hasn't.
Not yet. But he's kid's under a microscope. So if he just falls down, he actually did that against Chelsea. Something happened. He just randomly fell down on the pitch, and I said, this is going to be on his highlight reel. Along with the toe poke that he skied. It's probably still in the atmosphere.
Shocking ratings on Bernardeschi. I was very, very shocked to see some of the ratings after that Chelsea match. Because I felt he did so much, and again, it was just a lot of stuff that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, so it doesn't get credited. And it's like, but if you watch that game, he was big for us. And again, it's just one of those things. Usually, social media and just media perceptions will, influence certain ratings and certain scores for guys. But Bernardeschi was very, very strong in that Chelsea match. And again, looking at this one, how it could possibly play out, I'd much rather like him in a centralized role. That's why I was kind of liking a 4-2-3-1 quite a bit, because it gives us that balance. And with the right guys on the outsides, they can track back and assist, especially if one of them was Cuadrado, because he could stay back a bit more. Chiesa could really be the bomber. And then with Keane up top, I loved everything about that setup. Locatelli is also one to watch in this one, because years previous, again, we didn't have the right guy in the middle with the certain attributes that Locatelli carries. That's another, trick up Allegri's sleeve that we didn't have years prior when Juric caused us issues. So if Locatelli, if we can somehow get him supporting quite a bit and just helping out enough, even through that main deep line role, it'll be big. We saw that before years previous when teams would do that, set up that low block, and we would just be closed off to the outsides. Massive, massive gaps and holes in the center of the park, and nobody really filling them and having that willingness to get involved and break this match open. Locatelli could be that guy. So again, a lot of question marks. This one's going to be it's going to be a dogfight no matter what. Anthony will tell you otherwise, but we don't listen to Anthony, and I'm surprised.
You should. I'm heating up.
Really liked Georg getting under your skin a bit with that. Church will show Anthony's stats as pre-match motivation. I'll
deal with Georg later. He and I'll have a chat later.
Don't give the opponent something to go on, man. That locker room shit. Predictions. we're going to kick it off with predictions. We're going to get the tiebreaker ones out of the way first. Anthony's jotting all these down, seeing
Ready.
if he can go 2 in a row. First yellow card takes place in what minute and what team gets it? You don't have to go with player. You can if you want to be that specific, but just team. We're going to go around the horn the opposite way. Omar, first yellow card, what minute, what team? And everybody join us live. See if you can take the title from Anthony too.
Anthony, are you writing it down?
Oh, yeah.
Ready?
37th minute, Torino.
Oh, that's early.
Not for Torino.
Eric?
I'm going 23rd Torino, and I am having a complete brain fart. Who, Tomas,
Rincon.
and I'm just having
Rincon, the one who played.
Yes, Tomas Rincon. Thank you. So he's 23rd minute. He will have a yellow.
Okay. I'll go Juan Cuadrado, 53rd minute.
53rd.
The early yellows are a good call, though. In these derby matches, you tend to get one early the ref wants to send one out there to kind of send a message. But I think you're both wrong. I'll go 53rd minute. It's a good call, though.
24th minute, Torino.
Man, you guys are... Okay.
First offside. Which team and what minute? Anthony, you're kicking us off this time.
Juventus in the 8th minute.
Wow.
I'll say Juve in the 11th minute, and it'll probably be Bernardeschi if he plays in that 10 role because he's going to want to break the lines.
He had one in the 2nd minute against Chelsea, which was, I think that's a record. Homer?
Let's go with Juve, 10th minute. No, someone said 8, right?
Yeah, I did.
I won't go that close. 20th minute.
17th minute, Juve. Halftime scores. Halftime scores. I'm going to say, I'll kick this one off. At halftime, Juventus will be up 1-0 at half. Omar.
2-0 Juve, halftime.
Eric.
2-0 Juve.
Okay, so I also had 2-0 written down. But this is why all three of us are going to be wrong. This Juric, he does play tight, but so 2 of the 4 matches when he was coached with Hellas Verona against Juventus, halftime scores were, I think 3 of them were 0-0 and 1 was 1-1. So 2-0 at halftime is going to be tight, but like I said before, they stink. So we might actually be around this one 2-0. So I'll go 2-0.
So a whole lot of nothing there. That's what you just did.
That's right. Exactly. That's right.
Full-time score.
Follow along.
Anthony, full-time score.
4-0 Juventus.
Jesus, okay.
3-1 Juve.
3-1 Juve. Omar.
Can't keep a clean sheet, Eric?
Ali, you're always complaining I'm taking your pick, so go ahead.
See.
Oh, that's right.
See it finishing 2-0 Juventus. I'm going 2-0 full-time.
3-0 Juve.
There you go. Goal scorers.
But hang on a second. You guys are calling 3-0, 3-1. You guys are saying, it's going to be a tight game. Like, that's a blowout. 3-0.
Not when it's already 2-0. I mean, you got to read the game. So the scoreline cannot really determine, obviously, the way the game.
You guys are gold. Okay, goal scorers.
Okay, I'll go with Keane and Keane twice and Chiesa.
Oh, nice.
I got Chiesa twice and Locatelli.
So I already had these written down, just so you know. I had Keane with 2, I had Chiesa, and I have Danilo with the 4th.
Wow.
I think so. Who mentioned it earlier in the pod that there's going to be one of those odd goals? Al, I think it was you, right? Like a delict or something.
Oh,
yeah.
That was Omer.
Was it Omer? Okay.
Yeah.
I
think that's a good call.
I'm gonna go with Moise Keane getting 1 and the rare, because you usually get one of those odds. Bernardeschi gets one.
He owes me one from the last match, so he better get one.
Bernardeschi, Keenan Bernardeschi for goal scorers.
And
So,
I think Keane getting called up to the national team with Molle going down. This is a big stage for him. He's going to get 80 something minutes, possibly 90 minutes today. So this is a big stage for him to break through. Hopefully,
our friend Peter Balistreri was talking about that too, and saying he's so amped for Keane to get that call up. He's got the talent, but he's just got to keep his head on straight, right? But yeah, nice moment for him as Chiro is going to be out. Keane getting the call up.
just an FYI, Della calling a 4-3 absolute banger of a match.
Oh yeah, that would be absolutely
zero.
I don't know if I'm ready for that one. But,
Don't listen to anything we said. It's gonna be 7-6 today.
Here's a unicorn, Bentoncourt with a screamer from outside the box. That's
he's just going to be screaming himself on the pitch from outside of the box. That's the only thing you're going to get from him.
That's a great point.
Sitting there,
that's just talking crazy.
So total attempts
I'm
and how
Chesney
many
to
on
score
target for Juventus in this one. Total attempts and how many on target. I'm going to go with 11 total attempts, 5 on target. Omar.
15 and 8.
18-6.
18-6, Eric? 6? I'm going to go 12-6.
There you go. Very, very last one. Who do we call as the way too early man of the match for this one?
Obviously, I said Keane to score twice, so I'll go with Keane.
Keane for Omar. Eric.
I don't know. It's going to be one of the midfielders. It's going to be that little Bermuda triangle between Locatelli, Bernardeschi, and whoever's on the – it's between Bernardeschi and Locatelli because whoever plays on the right side won't. But I'm going to give this one to Locatelli.
Good show. Good show.
Now I called Keane with 2 goals, but I'm going to show our boys some love here. I'm going to go with Tech with man of the match today.
I'm going to go with.
How is he? Hang on. How is he going to be man of the match when Torino have no strikers? Anthony,
he's gonna make a couple big saves from their midfielders. You called midfielders, so I'm gonna go with Tech.
Ours, not theirs.
Well, maybe he'll have a screamer from outside the area.
Is Keane going to be heading balls back net again?
You never know, but maybe he stops 2 penalty shots. Eric, how about that?
It's going to be a dogfight no matter what. Guys are going to go. I'm only going 2-0 victory. Both goals spread out. But I'm actually going to give it to one of the center backs. I'm going to say Delict gets man of the match and absolutely sniffs out absolutely anything Torino can muster up and allows the rest of the guys to do what they got to do and go get the job done at the other end of the pitch. So I'm going to go.
He's having such a good season so far, man. He deserves one for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with the lick there. Boys, awesome. Everybody joined the live. A lot of great comments. I loved it. We're getting amped up here. This is a big one. Max talked about basically having to start to getting things right in the table and starting to continue to climb. Victory today would take us to 11 points, bring us a few spots higher up, obviously depending on certain other matchups. But I think the progress is 150% there. Anybody trying to say otherwise, I'm not listening to it because you can see it. That was a major step forward on Wednesday. I don't want to hear any talk about who was missing because we were missing guys too. It was how they did it. It was the first time in a long time I truly felt I was watching a team from Juventus. Okay. Mm-hmm. Everybody doing their role, understanding what was asked of them in that certain match against Chelsea. And that's why I said, because you still get the calls out there, the shouts saying that it was ugly, wasn't pretty, whatever, all looks the same on the table. 3 points, victory, clean sheet against Chelsea. The stats, very misleading if you watch that game. I understand Chelsea dominated the stats, but when you watch it play out, they got very little out of it. Fantastic team performance from Juventus. I'm looking for Max, even with the words he says, in his presser to still put these guys and test their mettle and have them ready and know that they're going to be in for another 90 plus today, where they have to have that maximum focus. And I trust that they're going to give that to them again in this one. Closing thoughts as we wrap up, sign off, and get ready for the Derby. Omar.
Well, wait, did you have the trivia already?
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, Omar, the show starts at 5:30 a.m. Every time.
Well, I wake up at 5:30 in my country.
I know.
So
I'm
by the
just
time
giving you
I
the
wake
gears,
up.
brother. Just giving you the gears, brother.
Yeah, but final thoughts. Well, I don't know. I think we kind of summed it up pretty well, actually. I'll add some stats. Torino and Juve is the longest running derby in Italy for clubs from the same city. The first one dates back to 1907. So it's been going on for more than a century. It's one of the best rivalries Italy has to offer. And the peak of it was back in the 50s and 60s, where Torino won like 5 Scudettos in a row, and we actually beat that record in the last run. So they do have a lot of things to be proud about, and they do have a legacy to maintain, and they always come to these matches well prepared. So a win against Torino always gives us great pleasure. It will be a great boost before the international break, and then we can come back even stronger and build off that. I'm expecting a win. I want Juve to win. I want the players to enjoy the match, and that's about it. I'm confident we're going to win today.
There you go. Eric, closing thoughts.
Thank you, Omer, for repeating everything that we've already discussed and went through. We appreciate that. We could have used you about 7 minutes before you popped up, but it's all good.
Yeah,
those were the exact stats that we went over, so we appreciate that.
Those are all trivia questions.
I can give you different stats if you want.
No. I can't cram anything more in there than I have already, so I appreciate that. My thoughts for today is I think Max has really taken the right approach. I think stressing that this game is going to be harder than Chelsea was the right thing to do. It's the right mentality to have. It doesn't allow them to get comfortable. You know, anybody who just beats the Champions League champions is probably going to be riding a little bit on a high. So, you know, keeping them grounded, keeping them focused was the right thing to do. I'm looking for 3 points today. I don't care how we get it. I don't think it's going to be any one person really standing out. Like I said, you really have to gauge rival games, derby games, completely different because they're emotional. So there really is not going to be a whole lot of tactics that kind of get us through. It's just going to be the will, the grinta, these types of things that are going to win you the match. So that's what I'm expecting. 3 points is really the only answer. And it's going to be a great boost for us going into the international break and then prepping for, I believe, Roma when we get back. So
there you go. Anthony, closing thoughts. Let me guess, Torino stinks.
I've already made that point quite clear. The one thing Allegri did say in his presser was we have to adjust the table, not completely fix it. Which is an interesting, select words, right, to put together. So he's got, like Eric said, he got the right mentality. If anyone has a chance to read Bonucci's interview with James Horncastle earlier this week, you can, from what he's saying, that the locker room is changing, the mentality is changing. The younger guys, they're getting, they have 50, team caps under their belts now. They're, they understand what it means to play for this club, and you could see that last week down 2-1, come back 3-2 win. Over the weekend, tough match against Sampdoria, you hold on for the win. Midweek, big Champions League game, pull out, a shocking win to some, not to me. But this team is rolling, right? This is the stretch we were waiting for. When can they start rolling? And I think it's just going to take off from here. And I don't even think it's going to be close today.
Yeah. And touching on that Bonucci interview, there were some words. I don't know if it was that interview or another one, but Bonucci said something very interesting in relation to Cristiano Ronaldo and
same interview
at Juventus, and is very, very interesting. I haven't spoken a whole lot about Cristiano Ronaldo since he's left. And the reason is because every time you do, it's just taken in so many different ways, and it's annoying, to be honest. But Bonucci made a great point saying that, hey, he was around and everybody kind of relied on him, and we essentially weren't the best teammates because they kind of just counted on him, and rather than pulling themselves up, they just kind of said, hey, let's just let him do his thing, and he can save us, he can bail us out. It's very, very interesting, and it's actually very telling in terms of the weak mentality that we saw on the pitch from a lot of guys that we were calling out. It makes sense, and it was something that was speculated by many of us watching that team, and we just said they just simply rely on this guy way too much. And you could see it even in certain statistics until he hit the hit, and it was like knockout goals in Champions League, like only coming from him, and just so much, right? So again, saying that we could be better off potentially without Ronaldo, or it will help these other guys, is going to get taken in such a wrong manner. But Bonucci making very, very interesting comments there. Last, we got Danilo could be a shout for man of the match as well. Danilo's a guy that, man, all his interviews, he put out a great interview this week as well. He continues to have great interviews and speak very, very highly about Juventus. He confirmed there was interest from Bayern Munich, and he didn't want it, and neither did Juventus, and he was happy for it. Very happy where he is. He's trying to learn Italian. The pandemic slowed that down, but this guy's been the epitome of what it means to be a Juve player. I've loved his time there. I actually said I could see myself getting the third kit with Danilo on it, and Cliff was giving me the gears, but luckily we don't care what Cliff says. But Danilo's been massive. Last but not least, Matthias coming in here with, I'm still not convinced about Szczesny. Szczesny has looked to be much more comfortable at the back. I'm starting to raise my confidence level in him, but again, needs to be tested much more, and we need to see it much more often. But do you guys agree? The last few outings, he's looked to be much more in command.
Absolutely. Like you can see, you can't hear what he's saying, but you can see him directing the troops, especially with Bonucci, and when Chiellini's back there. More so when De Ligt's in the middle, you see him doing some more command. Maybe that little row that he had with Rabiot, maybe who knows what Anenda said is like he's the keeper. You listen to him. Who knows what was said there? But yeah, definitely more command and more confidence coming out with the punches and owning his 18-yard box.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it, boys. We've kind of tackled everything we want. Fantastic match day live. Eric, always a pleasure having you in here. It's been too long. Let's make sure it's not that long for next time. Omar, you're an absolute beauty. Everybody continues to say how much you look like Bonucci and Chiellini combined. I love it.
I'm honored.
He's our Chiellini, our Capitano, and Anthony. I love the over-the-top confidence. Even when I'm maybe a bit down, it always pulls me up. You guys are all fantastic. Loved it. Everybody who joined the live, you guys are all beauties. We'll see if you can take the prediction title away from Anthony. It shouldn't be very hard. I mean, even a broken clock is right twice a day. You got it right in Chelsea. Let's see what happens today. But the main thing is we all called victories. Let's watch the boys in what's going to be a great Derby della Molle, probably one of the better ones in quite some time, I'm predicting. And still, Juventus should get those 3 points, and we go into the international break. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m., post-match podcast, where our boy Lou makes his much anticipated return as he's been gone for a while. But make sure you're there, everybody. And, of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel. As always, Forza Juve, fino alla fine. Let's go get that victory, boys. Ciao.